piece of insider knowledge that not many job seekers be aware of, but you find incredibly helpful in their job search?
Of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Liv. Really excited to be here. I know, especially, we have Labor Day, so it's easy to mentally check out. So, thank you for being here on a Friday afternoon. But this group especially hits close to home for me because I've been living and breathing in the world of hiring since entering the workforce in 2019. So I've worked in staffing my whole career on both sides, both recruitment and then also on the client facing side as well. And so I've seen the process from multiple angles, just professionally, and then on the flip side, being a job seeker myself. So I'm just really excited to share my personal experiences today. And then on top of that, I actually am starting a new role next week. So this is quite literally perfect timing. So bittersweet, but I will not be with MMI, but I will be joining Axiom Path next week as a manager of business development. And so I think it'll be a really good conversation. I know we've talked about the power of networking a little bit already today. So I think it'll hit close to home for a lot of people. And I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces. I know Gerald, Jimmy, reminds me of why I love groups like this because community is everything in a job search, and I swear by that. And so my insider knowledge is going to be related to, community connection. And so I would say the honest truth, being on both sides of job searching, is that the best roles I filled, they haven't been posted to a job board. It's through referrals, it's through connection, it's through people. And so I think never underestimate the power that these groups and meetups can have. And I think we're already seeing it with this group in particular. And so that's why showing up, whether it's at a networking event, professional meetup, a virtual community like this, is so important in your job search. And so the more that you're present in those spaces, the more likely you are to hear about opportunities before, the wider market hears about it. And so just from a personal perspective and, personal story, I can truly say every job I have had in my life, I know only 28, so I have a lot of life left to live, but I have never gotten a job that was not through a mutual connection. And by no means am I saying that applying and job boards are not important, because it is so important. But I'm just saying there is so much power in that. And so it's taught me something really important in terms of, people will remember what you did from that for them, but they'll more so remember how you made them feel and, the interaction that they had with you. So if you can leave that positive impression, especially in person or face to face, that's going to be such a difference maker. And so as far as, that experience, it's not just who you know, but how you connect with them. And I think the biggest piece of advice I give to people is don't go to a networking event and just hand out your business cards. Get to know them on a deeper level. Look at people as people, not just their job titles. So be curious, ask questions, find common ground. When you approach those conversations with genuine authenticity, it's going to make a difference, and that relationship's going to grow naturally. But those opportunities are going to follow naturally as well, is what I found. And on top of that too, right, you can add to your resume if you're in transition or looking for your next opportunity. If you go to those community events, you volunteer, not only will it build your network, but it's going to build your resume as well. So strengthen that resume. I think if we've learned anything since especially 2020 is nothing is for sure, nothing is certain. There's unpredictable things that can happen: budget cuts, layoffs, organizational changes, personal circumstances, right? So you can still show that you're active and engaged, and being a part of those professional groups and volunteering or taking up on leadership roles can help keep your experience fresh. And I think it really shows hiring managers that you don't just sit back and wait, but you invest in yourself, you invest in others. And, if there's two people with the same exact skills, but someone's really involved and they're willing to, better themselves, they're probably going to pick that person over someone who doesn't necessarily get more involved. So kind of twofold if you're just trying to develop your career in general, or also if you're trying to job search. So I think if there's anything that you can take from today is connections are currency. But seriously, if you invest in them, the more it'll pay off when you need them most. But have it be genuine and come from the heart. That is like the biggest piece of advice I could give. And so I know, at least for me personally, I know Jimmy had mentioned Lake Norman IT professionals. That is also a group I'm very involved with, and I'm fortunate to be the membership director for that. But I think that was an incredible example of how building those connections can, support your career. And I moved from Wisconsin to Charlotte, and I've only been in IT and been in my professional career within the Charlotte area for 1 year. 1 year ago, about today, I joined my very first Lake Norman IT networking group, and seriously changed my professional and my personal life. I've met lifelong friends, lifelong partners, and clients. The list goes on and on. So, I mean, with that in mind, I know everyone's really great about sharing their knowledge. And if there's any local groups, virtual groups besides this one, which is obviously fabulous, if there's any specific to industries, I definitely encourage you to put them in the chat. If anyone's really passionate about ones, come off mute, feel free to share. But I think just making it a goal, and I would challenge people to join another group in addition to this one, join one networking group per quarter. Hold yourself accountable, have an accountability buddy to do that with. But I think just one connection can lead to a new opportunity. And I've seen it firsthand, so I know it's definitely possible. But thank you so much for having me. And I am happy to answer any questions that you might have.